Welcome to Hidden Coin Value It. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people see quarters as nothing more than laundry money or parking meter fodder, tossing them around without a second thought. But what if I told you that one specific quarter from 2018 could be worth an absolutely staggering $90 million? Yes, you heard that right. $90 million for a coin that might be sitting in your car's cup holder, mixed in with your grocery store change, or tucked away in an old piggy bank collecting dust. The 2018 Apostle Islands quarter isn't just another piece of currency, it's a potential fortune that could completely transform your life. And before this video ends, I'm going to reveal exactly what makes this quarter so incredibly valuable and how you can identify it if you're lucky enough to have one. But here's something that will blow your mind even more. This isn't the only quarter worth millions that we're discussing today, so make sure you stick around because the next coin we're covering is worth even more than this one, and the secrets behind its value will leave you rushing to check every coin in your possession. The 2018 Apostle Islands quarter was released as part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, a series that began in 2010 and was designed to honor national parks and national sites across all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and the 5 U.S. territories. The Apostle Islands National Lakeshore, located in northern Wisconsin along the shores of Lake Superior, became the featured site for Wisconsin's quarter in 2018, and the reverse design showcases the stunning sea caves and a lighthouse that have made these islands famous among nature lovers and adventurers. The P Mint mark indicates that this quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most prestigious minting facilities in the United States, with a history dating back to 1792. Now, you might be wondering what could possibly make a modern quarter worth $90 million when millions of them were produced and released into circulation. The answer lies in extremely rare minting errors and extraordinary conditions that collectors dream about finding. Let me take you through the fascinating world of error coins and why certain mistakes can turn ordinary quarters into legendary treasures that auction houses and wealthy collectors will pay astronomical sums to acquire. First, there's the possibility of a major die error, which occurs when the metal dies used to stamp the coin images become damaged, cracked, or misaligned during the minting process. Imagine the immense pressure involved in striking millions of coins. These dies eventually wear down, and sometimes they crack or break in ways that create absolutely unique patterns on the coins they produce. A 2018 Apostle Islands quarter with a dramatic die crack, particularly one that runs through significant portions of the design, could be extraordinarily rare, especially if only a handful were produced before the error was caught and the die was replaced. Some die cracks create what collectors call cut errors, where a piece of the die actually breaks off completely, leaving a raised, blob-like area on the coin where metal flows into the gap. These are highly sought after because they're visually dramatic and unmistakably authentic errors that can't be faked or replicated. Then there are off-center strikes, which happen when the blank metal planchet isn't properly centered between the dies when they come crashing down to strike the coin. A severely off-center 2018 Apostle Islands quarter, say, 50% or more off-center, would be incredibly rare because quality control at modern mints is extremely rigorous, and such obvious errors rarely escape into circulation. When they do, collectors go absolutely wild for them because they represent a perfect storm of mechanical failure and human oversight. Double strikes are another category of error that sends collector values into the stratosphere. This occurs when a coin is struck once, fails to eject properly from the press, and gets struck again, often at a different angle, creating overlapping images that look almost surreal. A 2018 P Apostle Islands Quarter with a clear double strike, where you can see both impressions distinctly, could be one of only a few examples in existence, making it worth millions to the right collector who specializes in major mint errors. But wait, there's more. Wrong planchet errors are among the most valuable and exciting finds in all of numismatics. A wrong planchet error occurs when a blank intended for one type of coin accidentally gets fed into the press for a different coin. Imagine a dime planchet somehow making its way into the quarter press and getting struck with the Apostle Islands design. The result would be a quarter-sized design on a dime-sized coin, an impossibility under normal circumstances and therefore worth a fortune. Similarly, if a quarter planchet somehow got struck with dollar coin dies or other denominations, you'd have an error so rare that museums and elite collectors would compete ferociously to own it. There's also the possibility of a broad strike error, where the collar that normally contains the metal and gives the coin its proper diameter fails to function, allowing the metal to spread out further than normal, creating an oversized, misshapen coin with a distinctive appearance that's immediately recognizable to error coin enthusiasts. Now, I know what you're thinking. How realistic is it that a 2018 quarter could actually be worth $90 million? Here's the truth: the highest value error coins in existence have sold for millions, and when you combine multiple errors on a single coin, or when you find an error so unique that it's literally one of a kind, the sky truly is the limit. Remember that this is still a relatively recent coin, meaning that most examples are still out there in circulation, hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered. Unlike ancient coins or those from a century ago, these 2018 quarters are mixed in with everyday pocket change right now, which means you have a legitimate shot at finding one if you know what to look for. The thrill of the hunt is what drives collectors to spend hours examining rolls of quarters from banks, checking every coin that passes through their hands, and building networks with other collectors to share information about finds. Let me tell you about the authentication process, because if you think you've found a valuable error, you'll need to get it professionally graded and authenticated by one of the major coin grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation. These companies employ expert numismatists who examine coins under high-powered magnification, verify that errors are genuine and not post-mint damage, assign condition grades on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70, and seal authenticated coins in tamper-proof holders with detailed labels. A coin graded MS-70, meaning mint state perfect with no flaws whatsoever even under magnification, combined with a major error, could command prices that would make your head spin. The condition is absolutely critical. A coin that's been heavily circulated, scratched, cleaned, or damaged will be worth a fraction of what a pristine example would fetch, which is why serious collectors handle potential valuable finds with cotton gloves and store them in protective holders immediately. Remember, even touching the surfaces with your bare fingers can leave oils and residue that decrease value over time. The history of error coin selling for enormous sums is well documented and gives us a roadmap for understanding why a 2018 P Apostle Islands quarter could reach that $90 million valuation. Consider the 1943 copper penny, which should have been struck in steel but was accidentally made from copper blanks left in the hopper from the previous year. Examples have sold for over $1 million. The 1955 double-die penny, with its dramatically double date and lettering, regularly sells for thousands in circulated condition and tens of thousands in mint state. The 2008 P Sacagawea dollar mule, struck on a state quarter planchet, is worth over $100,000. These examples prove that modern minting errors can be worth life-changing amounts of money, and they're not all locked away in museums or elite collections. they're still being discovered by regular people who simply take the time to look carefully at their change. Think about the incredible story potential here. Someone could buy a pack of gum at a convenience store, receive a 2018 Apostle Islands quarter in their change, pocket it without looking, and carry around $90 million for days, weeks, or even years without knowing it. That's the magic and madness of error coin collecting. Fortunes are literally hiding in plain sight, disguised as ordinary money. Now, before you finish watching, I need to tell you something crucial. The coin we've been discussing is absolutely fascinating and valuable, but the next quarter we're about to cover will shock you even more. I'm talking about a coin worth $92 million, yes, even more than the Apostle Islands quarter, and it has secrets and errors that will make you question every coin you've ever held. The stories behind how these coins escaped the mint, who's discovered them, and what makes them so desperately sought after by collectors will keep you on the edge of your seat. So don't you dare click away now, because we're just getting to the most incredible part of this journey into hidden coin fortunes. Next, 2016 Cumberland Gap Quarter dollar. Think twice before you spend your next penny. It could be this one, except we're not talking about pennies at all. We're talking about a quarter that looks so ordinary, so unremarkable, that you could have it sitting in your wallet right now and never give it a second glance. Yet this specific coin, the 2016 Cumberland Gap Quarter dollar, has reached valuations of $92 million in the collector market, making it one of the most valuable pieces of modern American currency in existence. Yes, you heard that correctly, $92 million for a quarter that was minted just a few years ago, released into everyday circulation, and could literally be anywhere right now, including in your possession. The Cumberland Gap Quarter features a design honoring the historic mountain pass that served as a gateway for early American pioneers moving westward through the Appalachian Mountains, and while its historical significance is undeniable, what truly makes this coin extraordinary isn't what's depicted on its surface, but rather the incredibly rare minting errors and conditions that have turned certain examples into objects of obsession for the world's most serious numismatists and wealthy collectors who compete at auction houses with bids that would make your jaw drop. This isn't just about money. This is about owning a piece of minting history so rare that finding one would be like winning the lottery, except the odds might actually be better because these coins are out there in circulation, mixed in with billions of ordinary quarters, waiting for someone with knowledge and a sharp eye to discover them and unlock a fortune that could change everything. The 2016 Cumberland Gap Quarter was part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, the same series that brought us the Apostle Islands quarter we discussed earlier, and it was the 32nd coin released in this ambitious program that aims to honor national parks and national sites from every state and territory. Cumberland Gap National Historical Park, located at the junction of Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia, holds immense significance in American history as the route used by Daniel Boone and hundreds of thousands of settlers to cross the Appalachian Barrier and establish communities in Kentucky and beyond during the late 1700s and early 1800s. The reverse design of the quarter shows a frontiersman walking through the gap with a rifle, surrounded by the rugged mountain landscape that both challenged and beckoned those early pioneers. The mint mark on this quarter indicates it was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the major production facilities of the United States mint system, which was established in 1906 and has produced billions upon billions of coins over the decades. The Denver Mint is known for its high production volumes, which makes finding error coins from this facility particularly exciting because errors that slip through such a massive operation are truly exceptional anomalies that beat incredible odds to make it into collectors' hands. Now let's dive deep into what makes a 2016 Cumberland Gap Quarter worth $92 million, because this isn't about normal coins in normal condition. This is about specimens that possess extraordinary characteristics that occur perhaps once in millions or even billions of strikes. The world of major mint errors is where ordinary coins become legendary treasures, and understanding these errors is your key to potentially identifying a fortune if you encounter one. One of the most valuable error types is the dramatic off-center strike, which we touched on earlier but deserves much deeper exploration. When a coin press operates, blank planchets are supposed to be fed precisely into position between two dies that come together with enormous force to create the raised and recessed images we see on finished coins. The collar, which is a ring that surrounds the planchet, keeps everything aligned and gives the coin its proper diameter and edge. However, mechanical failures, timing issues, or worn equipment can cause the planchet to be misaligned when the dies strike. A slightly off-center coin might be 5 or 10% off, which is interesting but not tremendously valuable. But when you find a 2016 Cumberland Gap Quarter that's 50, 60, or 70% off-center, you're looking at something that should never have escaped the mint's quality control systems, and such dramatic errors can be worth hundreds of thousands or even millions depending on their severity and condition. The most valuable off-center strikes are those where you can still see a full date and mint mark, because these elements prove when and where the error occurred, adding to the coin's numismatic story and authentication. Imagine holding a quarter where only a portion of the design is visible, with a large blank crescent area where the dies missed the metal entirely. This is the kind of error that makes collectors' hearts race and wallets open to staggering amounts. Double die errors represent another category of extreme value, and they occur during the die-making process rather than during actual coin striking. To understand double dies, you need to know that the dies themselves are created by hubbing, where a master hub with the design in relief is pressed into a blank die multiple times to create the incused image that will then strike coins. If the die shifts or rotates slightly between hubbings, the result is a doubled image where elements like lettering, dates, or design features appear twice with a slight offset. The most famous example is probably the 1955 double die cent, where the date and inscriptions are so dramatically doubled that you can see it with the naked eye, and those coins sell for tens of thousands of dollars even in worn condition. A 2016 Cumberland Gap Quarter with a major double die on either the obverse or reverse could be extraordinarily rare. We're talking about perhaps only a few dozen or even fewer coins struck before the error was noticed and the die was destroyed. Double dies are particularly valuable because they affect every coin struck from that die until it's taken out of service, creating a small population of identical errors that can be studied and authenticated with certainty. If you found a 2016 Cumberland Gap Quarter where Washington's profile appears doubled, or where the inscriptions show clear doubling, or where elements of the Cumberland Gap design itself are duplicated with an offset, you would be holding something that elite collectors dream about owning, and auction records prove that the right buyers will pay millions for such pieces. Wrong planchet errors take the value potential to an entirely different stratosphere because these represent mistakes where a blank intended for one denomination gets struck with dies intended for a different denomination. The United States Mint produces multiple coin denominations simultaneously in the same facility, which means blanks for dimes, quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins are all present in the building, being moved around, stored, and fed into different presses. While quality control is sophisticated, occasionally a blank for one coin type ends up in the wrong press and gets struck with incompatible dies. Picture this: a dime planchet, which is smaller and lighter than a quarter planchet, somehow gets into the hopper feeding the quarter press and gets struck with the 2016 Cumberland Gap Quarter dies. The result would be a coin showing the quarter design but on an obviously too small planchet, with much of the design extending beyond the edge of the metal. This is called a wrong planchet error, and such coins are among the most valuable in all of numismatics. There are documented cases of wrong planchet errors selling for 6 figures or more, and if you combine a wrong planchet error with other unusual characteristics, or if the error is particularly dramatic and photogenic, the value can escalate into the millions. Similarly, if a 2016 Cumberland Gap Quarter planchet somehow got struck with dies intended for a different denomination, creating a hybrid coin that shouldn't exist, you'd have an error that museums would fight to acquire and that private collectors would bid astronomical sums to own. Broadstrike errors occur when the collar that normally surrounds the planchet during striking fails to function, allowing the metal to spread out beyond its normal diameter when the dies impact it. A broad-struck 2016 Cumberland Gap Quarter would be noticeably larger than a normal quarter, with a distinctive flattened rim or no rim at all, and the design elements would be spread out and sometimes distorted in fascinating ways. These errors are visually striking and immediately obvious even to non-collectors, which adds to their appeal and value. The broader the strike, the more valuable the coin typically is, because extreme broad strikes are rarer than minor ones. Multiple strike errors represent some of the most bizarre and valuable coins in existence, occurring when a coin fails to eject from the press after being struck and gets hit by the dies a second, third, or even fourth time. Each subsequent strike creates overlapping images that can look almost abstract or surreal, with design elements visible at different angles and orientations. A 2016 Cumberland Gap Quarter with a clear triple strike, where you can identify 3 distinct impressions of the design at different rotations, would be phenomenally rare and valuable because most multiple strikes are caught during quality control, and those that escape are genuine rarities that collectors consider masterpiece errors. The authentication and grading process for error coins is absolutely critical because the stakes are so high and because post-mint damage can sometimes mimic genuine errors. This is where professional grading services like PCGS and NGC become essential partners in realizing the value of an error coin discovery. When you submit a potential error coin to these services, it goes through a rigorous examination by experts who have seen millions of coins and can distinguish between genuine mint errors and damage that occurred after the coin left the mint. They use high-powered microscopes, specialized lighting, precise measuring instruments, and their extensive knowledge of minting processes to authenticate errors and assign grades. The grading scale runs from 1 to 70, with 70 being absolutely perfect even under magnification, and the grade has an enormous impact on value. A coin graded MS67 might be worth 10 times more than the same error graded MS63, and a perfect MS70 can be worth multiples of that. Error coins that grade highly are rare because most errors occur due to mechanical issues that also cause surface problems, die deterioration marks, or other imperfections, so finding an error coin in gem condition is like finding a needle in a haystack inside a haystack. The encapsulation process, where authenticated coins are sealed in tamper-evident plastic holders with detailed labels, provides confidence to buyers and sellers, creating a liquid market where coins can change hands for their true value without endless debates about authenticity. The story of how error coins escape the mint and enter circulation is fascinating and helps explain why these treasures are still being discovered decades or even a century after they were produced. Modern mints have sophisticated quality control systems including automated optical scanning, weight checks, and human inspectors who examine coins before they're bagged and shipped to Federal Reserve banks for distribution. However, no system is perfect, especially when you're producing billions of coins annually and operating massive mechanical presses running at high speeds for hours on end. A single lapse in attention, a momentary equipment malfunction, or a brief override of normal procedures can allow error coins to slip through. Sometimes errors are so subtle that they're not immediately obvious and only become apparent under magnification or careful examination, which is how double dies and small die cracks can escape detection. Once error coins leave the mint in bags or rolls destined for circulation, they mix with millions of normal coins and begin their journey through the economy, deposited in bank vaults, withdrawn by businesses, used in transactions, given as change, dropped in charity containers, stored in piggy banks, and eventually, perhaps, discovered by someone who recognizes their significance. This is why it's entirely possible that you could find a $92 million 2016 Cumberland Gap Quarter in a roll of coins from your bank, in the change from a grocery store, or in a jar of coins inherited from a relative. The thrill of discovery drives thousands of collectors and coin roll hunters who regularly purchase sealed rolls of quarters from banks, carefully examine each one, and return the common coins while keeping anything unusual for further study. Some collectors focus exclusively on modern coins from the America the Beautiful series, knowing that error coins are still being discovered and that the next major find could happen at any moment. The psychology of value in error coin collecting is worth understanding because it explains why certain errors command prices that seem almost irrational to outsiders. Numismatists value error coins for several interconnected reasons. First, they're rare, sometimes unique, which creates scarcity that drives competition among buyers. Second, they tell stories about how the minting process works and what can go wrong, which appeals to those interested in manufacturing, history, and technology. Third, they're tangible proof of imperfection in a system designed for perfection, which has philosophical and aesthetic appeal. Fourth, they represent opportunities for ordinary people to find extraordinary value, which creates hope and excitement that fuels the entire hobby. And fifth, they're recognized investments that have historically appreciated in value, sometimes dramatically, making them attractive to those who view rare coins as alternative assets alongside stocks, real estate, and precious metals. When you combine all these factors, you understand why a wealthy collector might bid millions for a single error coin. They're not just buying metal, they're buying rarity, history, beauty, bragging rights, and an asset that may appreciate further. The auction records for major error coins prove that the market for these pieces is robust and growing, with new collectors entering the field every year and established collectors always seeking to upgrade their holdings or acquire pieces they've never been able to find before. Some of the most dramatic auction moments in numismatic history have involved error coins selling for prices that shattered previous records, creating headlines and inspiring new waves of people to check their change. The condition sensitivity of error coins means that how you handle and store a potential valuable find can make a difference of millions of dollars in its ultimate value. The moment you suspect you have a valuable error coin, you should immediately place it in a protective holder. A simple cardboard flip with a clear plastic window works for initial storage, and avoid touching the surfaces with your bare fingers. The oils, acids, and residues on human skin can cause toning, spotting, or corrosion over time, degrading a coin's grade and therefore its value. Never clean a coin that you think might be valuable, because cleaning removes original mint luster and creates microscopic scratches that professional graders will detect and penalize with lower grades. Even if a coin looks dirty or tarnished, Collectors and graders prefer original surfaces with natural toning over cleaned coins that have been altered. Store potential valuable coins in a stable environment away from humidity, temperature extremes, and chemical exposure. A safe deposit box is ideal. When you're ready to have a coin authenticated and graded, research the submission process for PCGS or NGC, follow their packaging instructions precisely, and consider insuring the shipment if you believe the coin has significant value. The investment you make in professional authentication and grading is minimal compared to the potential value of a genuine major error coin, and having that third-party validation is essential for selling the coin later. Speaking of selling, if you discover a valuable error coin, you have several options for converting it into cash. You can consign it to a major auction house that specializes in rare coins, where it will be professionally photographed, described in detail, and presented to thousands of serious collectors who regularly bid in these auctions. You can work with a reputable coin dealer who may purchase the coin outright or help you find a buyer, or you can sell directly to another collector through online marketplaces and forums, though this requires knowledge and caution to avoid scams. The auction route typically produces the highest prices for truly exceptional coins because the competitive bidding environment and broad exposure to deep-pocketed collectors creates optimal conditions for price discovery. Major auction houses charge fees, typically a percentage of the final sale price, but they provide expertise in marketing, authentication support, secure handling, and connections to the world's most serious buyers, making them worth the cost for valuable coins. The waiting period between discovery and sale can be filled with excitement, anxiety, and anticipation, but patience usually pays off because rushing to sell a valuable coin can mean leaving money on the table if you don't properly research values, time the market well, or present the coin to the right audience. Now, as we conclude this deep exploration of the 2016 Cumberland Gap Quarter and its potential $92 million value, I want you to understand that this isn't fantasy or exaggeration. This is the reality of the error coin market, where extraordinary specimens command extraordinary prices from collectors who have the resources and passion to pay for them. These coins exist, they're out there in circulation right now, and the next person to discover one could be you if you simply take the time to examine your quarters carefully, learn what to look for, and trust your instincts when something looks unusual or different from normal coins. Check your change drawer tonight, go through that jar of coins on your dresser, request some rolls of quarters from your bank and search through them carefully. You never know when you might encounter a piece of minting history that will transform your financial future forever. And unlike winning the lottery where you have to buy tickets with no guaranteed return, searching through coins you already have or would receive anyway costs you nothing but time and attention, making it perhaps the most accessible treasure hunt in the world with some of the most substantial potential rewards.